Good morning students. Welcome to the English class. I am Dr. Tripti Gupta from Shiv Jyoti Education Group, Kota. Today we are going to start with poem number 8 on killing a tree from your book Beehive. Now this poem is written by Beehive Patel. He is an Indian writer. So let us, before moving to the poem, let us look about some information about the poet. So students, our poet Beehive Patel was born in 1940. He is an Indian poet, playwright, painter as well as a practicing doctor based in Mumbai. His poetry works include poems that were first launched in Nissim's Ezekiel, followed by How Do You Withstand, Body and Mirroring. His plays include Prince, Savakas and Mr. Burman. So these were his work. Now let us move to the poem on killing a tree. See students, our poem on killing a tree. Now see here, a prologue is been given that you must have observed people cutting down trees, but can they kill a tree? Now as you can see, the title is also about killing a tree. So poet is basically, this is he wants to sensitize the reader and wants to highlight the fact that trees are living things. That means once you are cutting those trees, you are actually killing them because they are living beings. So he equates a tree with humans to convey that these trees should not be cut, and because the deforestation, which is one of the very disastrous human activity, is basically responsible for destroying the overall health of this planet Earth. So that is why a tree does not die just merely by cutting it, because it regrows from where it has been cut. Now, so he is been saying that if you want to destroy a tree, you need to uproot it out completely from the earth. So this is how he has, basically it's a satire. He has just made like he has remarked his idea that man is being very brutal on the part of making this deforestation to actually been which should be avoided. Actually we should not cut the trees like this, and rather we should plant the trees now. So now let us move with this poems one by one, looking at the stanzas here. Okay. So here the first stanza. It takes much time to kill a tree, not a simple jab of knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. Now see here what the poet is coming out, that it takes much time to kill a tree. That means it is not a simple thing to kill a tree. It is going to be a tedious job. It is not going to be a very simple activity which can be just not a simple jab of knives. Jab means a hard stroke, where you just make a stroke, you cut it on the bark. So just by one single stroke of knife is not going to cut that tree. So basically he is saying that to destroy the tree, it is going to take a long time, it is not so easy to happen. Now Now he is again putting a question, will it actually do? Do you really think that one single stroke of a knife will really destroy or cut the complete tree? No, it is not possible. Why? Because it has grown slowly. It has actually grown up, it has become so enormous in the size, and this has happened over many years. Okay. Now, how it has grown, that the poet has described in this line, consuming the earth. Now, it has taken nourishment from the earth, rising out of it. So, basically the seed was inside the earth and it rose out of the earth, feeding upon its crust. So, the crust is the most nutritious portion, that is the uppermost layer of the earth. So, that is the earth crust. So, it has been fed, it has been given nutrition from that first layer of soil, that is the earth crust, absorbing years of sunlight. So, it has received enormous sunlight over the years and then it has grown. It has consumed air, water, and all these nourishment has basically resulted into an enormous, a beautiful, marvelous tree which is now been standing out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. So, basically it has grown with a strong trunk and have numerous number of leaves. So, basically you cannot just cut this wonderful living being, that is the tree, like that just by a simple jab of knife. Now, let us move to the next stanza here. See the next stanza. So, hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which is unchecked, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. Now, see what the poet has been saying, that so hack and chop. Hack means you have to cut it. Okay. So, he is asking human being here that what you have to do is, if you cut and chop, but do you think this alone would do it? That means only cutting and chopping the tree would actually kill it properly? No, not so much pain will do it. It will cause pain, but it won't be that big pain that the bleeding bark will heal. From this pain, it will be painful, but not that much. Okay. And the bark, see, whenever there is a stroke of knife, there are sap which comes out from the bark. So, that is what is actually the bleeding bark. So, what he is saying, what the poet is saying, that though when you will cut it, when you will chop it, the bark will bleed, but it will heal up. Okay. So, the bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs. Now, what will happen? The leftover part which is still there on the ground, the small little part which is still there, from there, right from below, just near the root, it will again sprout, and the new curly, very delicate twigs means very delicate branches, that they will sprout out, they will come out again, and miniature bogs, miniature means very small branches with leaves. Okay. And if these are unchecked, if unchecked means if they are not being controlled, then will expand again to former size. So, what will happen? So, gradually if it is been left like that, it is not been checked, it has not been controlled, those leaves, those small branches will continue to grow further, and finally it will again take the same previous former size, means the size at which it was there previously, when before it was been cut. Okay. So, it will regain its size over the time. Okay. So, this is how he says that only cutting and chopping will not kill the tree. Now, let us move to the next stanza here. Now, see, poet is starting this third stanza with no. No, he is emphasizing that no, the root is to be pulled out. Now, what he is saying here is, no, here is he is saying that in order to kill the tree properly, you have to pull it out, you have to uproot it. Okay, you have to bring the roots come out from the earth. So, that is out of the encroaching earth, it is out of the anchoring earth, it is to be roped, tied and pulled out, snapped out. Now, what it is saying, that what all you have to do to uproot that tree, it won't be a simple job to uproot a big tree like that. Have you seen uprooted trees? Whenever there are storms, you may find on the roadside the trees are being uprooted completely, because they must be weak enough to withstand the storms. So, you can see here now, see, out of the anchoring earth, you have to pull it out. That tree along with the roots, you have to pull them out. So, for pulling the tree completely out from anchoring earth, anchoring earth means the earth, the soil which has actually held the tree, which has actually bound the roots of the tree. So, that is actually holding it. Okay. So, it is to be roped. So, you have to tie the rope, then you have to tie it, and then finally you have to pull out, and after pulling out you have to chop it, snapped out. Snapped out means you have to chop it out. So, those roots are to be cut down further. If you will leave those roots, they may again regrow further at certain point of time. So, what you have to do, you have to pull those roots out and then you have to chop them out. Now, see here how brutally he is describing that how to kill a tree basically, or pulled out entirely. Either you just chop those roots, or else what you have to do, you have to entirely make them to come out. Okay. Out from the earth cave. Now, earth cave is basically a bigger space. Earth cave is being described here as the hollow portion which will be left, that deep hollow part which will be left after uprooting the tree. So, that will take a shape of a cave. So, what it is saying is, you have to pull it out entirely out from the earth cave. So, that part where that roots are being taken the space within the earth, that will be emptied, it will be vacant, and then there will be a cave will be created. Okay. And the strength of the tree exposed. See, the strength of the tree lies in the root. So, once the roots are being uprooted, they are being entirely pulled out, they will be exposed. Now, they will face the harsh sun, air. Okay. So, what they will be? They will be out of the earth cover. Up till now, they were being hidden inside the earth. So, that is why they were being protected, they were being anchored and held, and they were nourished also. Now, once they are being uprooted, they will be exposed to the sun, to air, to the environment. Okay. So, now this is the source, white and wet. The source here is the root. Okay. That root which is actually very vulnerable, it is wet, it is white. Okay, it has not been exposed up till now. The most sensitive, hidden. So, that is the most sensitive part of the tree, because it was been hidden up till now in the earth, deep inside the earth it was been hidden, it was been protected because it was very sensitive. That was the main part of the tree which was actually nourishing the complete tree, and it was holding, it was the base of the tree, it was holding the complete tree for years inside the earth. Where it was hidden? It was hidden inside the earth, in that earth cave. Okay. So now these roots are being, okay students, now let us move to the last stanza here. Then the matter of scorching and choking in the sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Now see what he is saying. Then the matter of scorching and choking. Now what exactly is happening? Scorching means something which is being burnt, because now these roots are being out, they are exposed. Now this matter, the matter is actually the roots. So these roots, which roots are, they are white, they are wet. Now they will be facing the sun and they will be burnt because of the heat, intense heat of sun, and they will be choked. Choked means that nourishment which was been flowing through those roots, they will be stopped, they will be barred, and they will not flow further. Okay. So that will actually result in drying up of the roots, and finally the tree will get dried up because the nourishment is stopped. In sun and air, who will burn and who will choke? The sun, the presence of sun and the air will actually result into scorching. Now in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, weathering. Now browning, that white colored roots will gradually turn down, they will be burnt and they will turn brown. Okay, and they will get hardened. Up till now they were being very soft, vulnerable, wet, full of water and nourishment. Now they will be choked, and then finally that is why they will get hardened up. They will lose their softness. And twisting, with the time when they will get hardened, they will change their shape, they will twist. Okay. And withering means they will start decaying. Okay. And then finally when all this process will take up and the roots will finally be, they will be destroyed, and because the roots are destroyed, the finally that big tree is going to die, and then the poet says in the last line, and then it is done. And here it has been referring to he is referring to the killing of the tree. So then finally the killing of the tree has been done. So this is how the poet has described that how it will be to for a human being to kill a tree right from the roots. You have to do all these, take up all these steps to basically kill the tree. Now let us move to understand some of the literary devices of this poem. Now if we see here literary devices, first of all the rhyming scheme of this poem, there is no rhyming scheme, and there is no actual rhythm which is there in this poem. Okay. Now there is another aspect which has been involved here, that it is a metaphor. Okay. Metaphor is basically a you can say a comparison, an indirect comparison is being made, where see here there is a phrase being used, leprous hide. Now it means that uneven color of the surface of the trunk, okay, that of a tree is compared to the skin of a person suffering from leprosy. Okay, leprosy you understand, when there are spots on the skin. So, that has been a comparison being made here. Okay, similarly bleeding bark. Okay, see here in the next stanza there is a phrase being used here, bleeding bark. Okay, so here also the sap which is coming out of the tree here when it is being cut is compared to the bleeding of the wounds of a human body. Like the human body, it bleeds when it is being wounded, in the same fashion it is compared that the tree also bleeds. So, this is also another metaphor. Now, here we can see another aspect, another poetic device being used, that is alliteration. That means the repetition of consonant sounds in two or more closely placed words. Now, see here we can very well see here with like bleeding bark again, this is here the consonant B is being repeated here, the alliteration is there. Similarly, let us move to the fourth stanza here. See here, white and wet, again there is a consonant W is being repeated. So, here also there is alliteration is being used. Okay. Now, there is another poetic device, that is repetition is being used, where a word or a phrase or sentence is being repeated to lay an emphasis on it. So, here pulled out, this particular phrase is being repeated here. See here it was being used in stanza 3 also, pulled out here, fun time, then second time it has been repeated here also in the last line on in this stanza, and then again this stanza continues with where again it is being used here third time. So, this is basically what is repetition. So, this is how we have dealt with various poetic devices which are being used by the poet in this poem. Now, students, I hope you are being able to understand this poem well here, and I would suggest to go through the various meanings of these stanzas line by line, and go through the PDF work also. Thank you, students.